that song is like such a balm, right? A soothing balm for this time. So we are wrapping up this month's series, Fertilizing Our Future, and embracing the power of regenerativity. There we go. I just like to feel you all. So I want to explore this principle, this idea of regenerativity, the sacred cycle of renewal and growth that is happening all the time in us, around us, and through us. It teaches us that every ending can be seen as an invitation. Every challenge, every obstacle is an opening for greater expansion. Life is always moving, becoming, renewing itself through us. And if we want to align with the highest good, we must shift towards more sustainability. Not just for our earth, but that included, we talked about that last week, but also in our own sacred lives, tending to our inner garden. So we talk about environmental sustainability, preserving resources, protecting the oceans, planting trees. All of that makes a big impact on caring and nurturing for this being, Gaia, in which we have the pleasure of interacting with and living on. But we can also look at these ideas from a place of personal sustainability, tending our own gardens by caring for our physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being, choosing habits that support long-term thriving, not just short-term survival or little burst of growth, right? We build sustainable practices in our lives with each small choice, sacred pauses, with each mindful breath, to create a life that will endure and evolve, flourish, no matter what, even in chaotic times. These practices and this mindset allows us to be that bridge over troubled waters. So this idea of regenerativity invites us into a deep and sacred trust that every season, even the hard ones, carries seeds of transformation. And every letting go creates space for new beginnings. The law of growth states that everything alive must grow. And growth requires change. And change demands renewal. We honor the need for self-love through tender care. We can honor this need by slowing down and reflecting and contemplation through letting go, practices of forgiveness of ourselves and others, and by staying open at the top and curious in order to stay in step with life's natural rhythms. Because we don't have to force this growth or evolution. We must simply allow it. Yet, simply is often not how it occurs, right? Like that lyric, I think it's Melissa Felipe, kicking and screaming on the way to enlightenment, something like that. Yes. Yet nature is such a great example for us of this allowing, of this growth, of this transformation, because most aspects of nature, plants and animals that we see, don't have the construct of the mind and the limitation that we do. That is often the obstacle for our own allowing and becoming. So a couple of weeks ago, I noticed that a robin had built a nest on top of the porch light right outside my door. And I'd watch her every day, building the nest and thinking, is this really the best place? Like, I have 3 cats, and one of them's indoor, outdoor all the time. But okay. And then I noticed as the nest becomes complete, and I honored how, this mess and all this stuff was dropped over, all of a sudden becomes this really tight-knit thing, right? And this robin begins to just faithfully sit on this nest. As I come and go, as the cats come and go, all that, she just sits and tends the nest. She doesn't flit about anxiously. She's not trying to force the eggs to hatch any faster. She just sits, calm and present, surrendered to the wisdom of the cycle of life in which she is a part of in this moment. And it struck me that she's not doing nothing. Actually, she's doing everything by resting, by just sitting. She's embodying regenerativity, the understanding that life renews itself when we allow it. That unseen growth is still growth. That rest is not wasted time. It's a holy act of trust. See, Mama Robin knows deep in her being that her role is to nurture, to shelter, to be present. And in the right time, not by her doing or striving or struggling, but just simply through her patience and her willingness to surrender to her instinct and her role, by quietly tending the nest, that new life will crack open and emerge. And the same is true for us, yes. We live in a world that glorifies constant motion, constant achievement, capitalism, growth, just for the sake of growth. And we're being called back to see things from a more sustainable way. Life, real life, knows when to move and knows when to be still. There are seasons where powerful things, the most powerful thing we can do too is to sit and to rest and to trust and to listen to that something within that is forming beneath the surface. That is who we are becoming. Like the Mama Robin, we are invited into the wisdom of each moment of each cycle of life and into the wisdom of patience and trust and stillness. To trust the regenerative cycle that is always unfolding within us. And trust the process of our own inner knowing that we are exactly where we are supposed to be in each moment and that we are always being guided towards our next becoming if we slow down enough to listen, to notice, and then take that inspired action in divine right order and time. There's a beautiful idea of this philosophy and kind of mix of philosophy and spirituality from Aristotle called entelechy. And it means that inner potential within that drives something to become what is meant to be. Just like the acorn carries the oak tree within it, the caterpillar carries that code of the butterfly. And you carry within you the fullness of who you are becoming, the fullness of who you are meant to be, that potentiality and possibility. Dr. Jean Houston speaks a lot about this. And in her book, The Hero and the Goddess, which I love, right? She explores a lot of this idea of the hero's journey and the myth that Joseph Campbell idea, but she calls us towards the idea of the goddess as well. Entelechy, she says, is all about the possibilities encoded in each of us. it is possible to call upon the entelechy principle within us in such a way that it becomes personal, friendly, and even helpful. This entelechy principle can be expressed symbolically as God or a guide. We feel its presence as the inspiration or motivation that helps us get life moving again after times of stress or stagnation. And there are many ways to engage the symbolic forms of the entelechy principle. I'm not going to go too deep in this, but I'll just, instead of leaving you hanging with that, I'll give you a few examples, right, of some ways to engage with this. Through journaling, through sitting with nature, through reflection, through noticing and looking at the different archetypes in mythology, in our stories, and in the world, and inviting that through creativity and exploration and imagination to inform your next iteration of who you are becoming. Sitting with a tree or a flower or on the riverbed and asking, what wisdom about my growth and fulfillment are you offering me? When you follow your entelechy, when you listen to the inner call of your becoming, you step into that journey of continuous growth and fulfillment. Not because you have to prove anything, or because you have to earn your worth, but because life is this generative expression moving through you, wanting to become more. And your job is simply to listen, to trust, to allow, to be stretched, and to keep growing. And sure enough, for my new friend Robin, the season of stillness didn't last forever. Yesterday, I was sitting outside on the deck, and it's kind of up, almost level with her nest. And I saw her fly away. And I first thought, oh no, like, what are you doing? And it was kind of chilly, I was like, don't let those eggs get too cold. And like that, in a flash of a moment, she was back with worms. And I was like, oh, what? And then she leaned over, and then I noticed the tiny beaks. And I was like, oh, wait. And so she begins to feed her little babies, flies off again, brings back 2 more worms. I could tell 2, maybe 3. I just, that moment, like we all get like, right? Because it awakens something within us. We resonate with that, like, new life, possibility, potential. She fed them lovingly, patiently. And it had me reflect that there's time for stillness, there's time for nurturing growth, and to not rush it or force it, but just like her, trust the process, even amongst the chaos and perhaps the fear of the cats coming in and out. And in time, new life will be expressed, right? And I want you to map this onto your own life. Where are you? What season of life are you in? Is it a time of rest and renewal? Are you practicing trusting and listening to that inner guidance? And perhaps as nature and seasons, we too are part of nature, we often kind of get in the same rhythm. And spring, after we've come out of the darkness of the winter and that deep reflection, seems to be the time for us too to perhaps birth a new iteration of ourselves, to create something new, a new possibility, to take and integrate all that we've experienced and even collectively over the past several months into something to create. to take action towards, to share with the world, to feed our dreams and visions with the possibility that are rising up within us. So I invite you to repeat after me. Let's do some affirming together. I trust the rhythm of life. I am nurtured by rest. When the time is right, I rise. That's right. So I want to leave you with one more practice, and it's something that's becoming more and more popular these days that I see a lot of on social media, oddly enough, which is the invitation to what it's now folks are calling a dopamine fast, right? So with trust, we are invited to create sacred space, to step away from the overstimulation, the constant distraction of the media, the messages around us, and to create that sacred wound and to use that perhaps as a tool for us to share what's coming through us, but not just to be a consumer of it, right? So dopamine fasting, it's a simple practice, but very powerful. And again, when I say simple, it doesn't mean that it's easy. It's taking intentional breaks from that quick hit that we get maybe from social media scrolling or binge watching Netflix or constant snacking, whatever is your thing. You give your brain that time to rest so that it can reset. Like, this is neuroscience too, right? So we have those pathways that are just triggered by certain habits, and we do this, we come home, we eat this, then we're like, oh, turn on the TV or look at this. And yet if we pause and intentionally break away from those habits, we may begin to look at, oh, I noticed now when I was doing that, I woke up feeling tired, or I still didn't feel like it felt good in the moment, but it wasn't like a sustainable sense of fulfillment, or, it lets us begin to notice the impact of that and choose new healthy habits. So here's a few steps if you choose. First is to identify what is your go-to dopamine trigger, right? Is it the social media or Netflix, TV, eating, whatever? And then give yourself a time frame, maybe just a few hours to start, if it's something that you're on for many hours, or if it's something, maybe it's a day or a week. And then begin to replace that habit or distraction or noise with nourishing activities like meditation, or a walk in nature, or journaling, reflecting, and engaging with your own inner entelechy. Having real conversations with people, or simply sitting in silence. And then afterwards reflecting on, how do I feel now? And what clarity has been revealed? By choosing these sacred pauses, we reset our system, we calm the waters, and we renew the energy of the life within us. Really, we just kind of get back in touch with that inner code of expression within us that connects us again to that deep rhythm of life, getting back in alignment with our circadian rhythms and those things that are more of the natural world instead of those imposed upon us. Not that technology or any of those things are bad. It's all about our relationship with them, coming from a conscious place, using things as a tool instead of being used by them, right? So, in closing, May you honor the sacred season within you, trusting that life is always renewing itself through you. And may you rise in perfect time into the fullness of all you are here to do, to be, and to become, because something within you knows. All we have to do is allow it. Yes? Let's take it into prayer. Right here, right now, I recognize the one life, the divine presence, Spirit, God, that which is love and wholeness, creativity, this one life, this energy back of all things that is expressing in, as, and through all of life, knows itself as me, as you. So right here, right now, from this place of oneness, I speak this word knowing that each and every one of us is on this sacred journey of regenerativity, renewal, of growth. And so I claim and declare for each of us that this power within, this entelechy principle, is leading and guiding the way for who we are to be, for that pure potentiality that is already encoded in our DNA to be expressed fully, to be revealed. Letting go of the idea that there's anything we need to figure out, to do, to make happen, to force. We let go of that old construct and step into the allowing and the principle of potentiality, of possibility, of wholeness, of love moving through us, allowing divine wisdom to lead and to guide, and opening our hearts and our minds and having the eyes to see the opportunity and possibility of what is right before us, step by step, as we become all that we are here to be. Listening to that inner guidance, riding the waves with ease, and allowing each season of life as we navigate the waves with ease, with trust, with allowing, not fighting or resisting or trying to create something different than who we are, but simply dropping away all pretense and being who we are. I'm so grateful to speak this word. I'm so grateful to know that love and wisdom is present here, and that there's nothing I need to do but simply allow my own becoming and allow the universe to show up as the opportunities and resources for all that I am encoded to be. So with that, I say, yes, I say thank you. And I release this word into the action of the law. And the law that always says, yes, my beloved, yes, it is done, it is so. And together we say, and so it is, yes, yes, yes.